Initially, rabbits was the main thing that I wanted on our homestead, and Mrs. Nikki Gardner wasn't all for it.
I'm not sure that I'm still all the way for it.
It took the likings of Eric and Monica, Bland's Promise Ranch, to introduce her to rabbits. It was nice to see their whole setup and everything. And they introduced two ways of preparing rabbits for us. One, they did it on the grill.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's cool when I hear my 22.
Uh,
And Monica did some.
Monica cheated. Monica cheated. She made tacos, and if you're wanting to convince somebody to like a meat, you should introduce it in tacos. Now, I never have seen breeder rabbits or a rabbitry setup, so it's interesting to me to follow Eric and Monica into where they keep their rabbits and just listen to a lot of the things that they had to show us.
8 weeks is usually when we process them.
Uh-huh.
If you process after that, it just gets harder and harder.
Oh, yeah?
So if I was to take one of these like fully grown ones and try to process
It'd be
it,
just too tough.
it would take 2 people to try to get that hide off.
Oh.
Now with these, I can process this myself. Once I get my fingers underneath the hide, I can just pull the whole thing right off.
I can't get it to do that. Because these things are always not doing. So following on the heels of visiting the Bland's Promised Land Ranch and learning more about rabbits and what they had going on, in our East Texas homesteading group, we have a bartering post that they do. Isn't it like monthly that they do that?
Yeah.
And somebody offered, and that was the Branch Ranch, which is Brittany and her husband Michael. They needed some help butchering some chickens, and they were going to offer up a starter colony for somebody that was willing to come and help them. And we were in the market for rabbits. The very same day, a company, Ivy Tuvin, hit us up about either a chicken hutch or a rabbit hutch. It was like a gift that just kind of like fell out of the sky, just all in the same week, and 2 things in the same day. So it was a no-brainer for us. We actually teach people how to process chickens, so it was nice to go there and share some of our skill set while getting the gift of our starter colony.
It was amazing because they gave us 2 bucks and 3 does. It was nice because the rabbits at that time were 4 months old, and they gave us plenty of time before they hit the 6-month mark to keep them separated.
One of the worst fears that I had in having rabbits is they are prey animals, and I was afraid of them getting attacked. And that kind of scary thing happened way too early. Like, we didn't even have them a week when it happened.
Once the rabbits were attacked, and took us almost all morning just to gather them up and whatnot. I had to hurry up and come up with a design and just build this. And about a weekend, I think it was.
It was the first time that we had to face kind of like building something out of stress. We always like to be prepared before we have animals. And that situation really forced us to do like a stress build.
4 month mark, we had them in the A2 hutch, and I thought I was going to have at least another month before building something like this. So the dog attack on our A2 rabbit hutch just sped up the process.
One of the rules that we have when we get animals is, especially if it's something that we're going to have as a dual purpose with meat, is to know how to process it. So we did take a class we signed up for in our East Texas homesteading co-op group, and we didn't know that our friends that initially introduced us to their whole rabbitry setup were teaching the class until like the week before we got there. So we actually went because it's something that we are not familiar with. We're learning, or we have been learning in our process, that there's several different methods that people use in processing their rabbits. And so we have been interested, at least in learning how to do that. So we went to that class.
And it was interesting to see how they went from the dispatch portion to the skinning of the rabbit and everything. And I still want to kind of get more hands on to that before we venture off and harvesting and sending our rabbits out to freezer camp.
I did appreciate Monica's demonstration of piecing out a rabbit. I found that to be valuable. It is definitely something, even with chickens, it takes me a little while to kind of get into the process of doing that, but I did appreciate seeing her way of going through that process of piecing out a rabbit.
Yeah, we've got 10 chinook rabbits, and I think we're going to have how many babies in a month?
I don't know yet.
If they are bred and they took, I think we'll have somewhere around like 30.
So it was 6 weeks, and we had to start weaning them off their mamas because their mamas was about around this time fed up with them. When we weaned them off, we had to sex them to find out what sex that they were. And luckily, we had one of our friends that from the Cottage Farms. We purchased it off of their rabbit hutch that they stopped using, and it had a divider in there so we could put the males on one side and the females on the other side. So when we were finding out which of the rabbits were male and females, we also tattooed their ears so that we know which of the bucks and the does that they came from.
And I know that there's a bunch of different ways that people will tag their rabbits. That was pretty much something that was tasked to me to look into. And I just felt like tattooing the ear was going to be the best method for us because there wasn't any other permanent way. And it's really hard when they're young to tell. So if somebody was going to want to have this as a pet or start their colony, I didn't want any inbreeding going on, so I wanted to make sure that the mom and the dad was definitely something we could tell because I wouldn't want to set anybody up for failure like that.
Now with that tractor, we still had to do some modifications to it. It initially had some chicken wire on there, so we put some hardware cloth on there. We adjusted the lid on there so that way it'd be a little bit durable. So and we just need to put a hatch on there so that way we can keep it closed. And then we added some pulls on both ends so Mrs. Nikki Gardner can be able to pull it off since she's here most of the time doing it, the moves by herself.
And now that I am doing it and in motion, there's a lot more I want to change about it. I'm not happy. I'm actually very pro, let's go ahead and process them as soon as possible so that that chore is off my checklist.
So we have about 4 to 8 more weeks. I think 4 more weeks that Mrs. Nikki Gardner is pushing for it to do some putting them off to freezer camp. And if y'all want to start your own breeder flock, just comment down below or email us at teamholland77 gmail.com.
If you're close by, we got some baby rabbits for you to start your own colony.
Yeah,
and they will not be inbred.
Nope, there are eight female does and 13 bucks. So. Now there's 4 other reasons why we chose these meat rabbits. And if you want to see that video, we'll put that off to the side and also in the description down below. Until the next video, let's grow together.